Hello and welcome to episode 120 of PubShorts, titled Everybody is Changing. And why have we named it like that? Tony will soon explain to you. And my name is Dr. KK. I'm the Innovation Officer at Inago. And hi, Tony, and you can start with the introductions.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Tony O'Rourke. Welcome to PubShorts. As KK said, this is a regular. In case you've not watched us before, this is a podcast which KK and I record and discuss various topics relating to the world of academic publishing and research publishing and research communication in general. And we like to give each episode a theme, as always, is named after a song. This particular episode is called "Everybody's Changing," which is a song by the British band Keane from I can't remember 2003, 2004, a few years back. The song's sense of disorientation as the world moves around fits this story, this week's stories perfectly. With researchers under pressure, AI sitting job interviews, which still blows my mind, and whole careers being reshaped by tools that are still learning on the job.
Yep.
So, everything's changing. Everybody's changing.
That is very true, Tony. So I'll switch to the first article. This is from none other than Ethan Mollick's blog, One
Yeah.
Useful Thing, and it is titled Giving Your AI a Job Interview. So this is related to benchmarking. I think we briefly talked about it. So this is another article. I think a few episodes ago, we talked about benchmarking from the point of view of whether experts should be evaluating AI in terms of what capabilities it has instead of standard benchmarking. So we're back to talking about standard benchmarks, which have flaws and they can be gamed, and we do not always know what they measure. So, despite flaws, benchmarks generally show that AI is improving over time, that everybody is aware of. So, existing benchmarks, as per Ethan Mollick, are high for AI or rather strong in math, science, reasoning, and coding. But there are fewer benchmarks for things like, for example, writing, sociological analysis, business advice, and empathy. Let me get rid of this pop up. And so this gap, there's a gap, and this means that we need to test AI for our specific needs. So Ethan talks about vibes-based benchmarking, which involves subjective tests like creating specific images and tests. So some of these is explained here, and these vibe checks give a feel of AI's world model and how it relates concepts. So while this is fun, Ethan explains, vibe checks are subjective and not rigorous for organizational use, and real world benchmarking like OpenAI's GD eval, if I'm not GDP eval, sorry, uses realistic tasks and expert evaluation. And this approach reveals AI's strengths and weaknesses across different industries and specific tasks. It is also crucial to understand an AI's underlying attitude on or judgment bias, which is interesting. I mean, I guess we have talked about how AI is sort of metacognitively analyzing its own thought process a couple of episodes ago. And finally, he sort of summarizes that companies need interview to interview their AI. That's obviously the catch in the head title of the page post as well, and not just rely on general benchmarks, which means creating realistic scenarios and have experts evaluate results according to specific use cases. So this is similar to what we talked about with the Nature opinion article, which I thought was a very interesting way to do it. If you remember, JP Morgan's CEO should be evaluating an AI, whether it's good for finance and banking, for example. So, your thoughts on this? I believe you've already read this article.
For two things. First of all, I respect anybody who name checks the great 70s rock band Cheap Trick in any article. So kudos
My
to
God.
Ethan Mollick for name checking one of my favorite groups ever. Secondly, I think it's an interesting selection of the word interview, isn't it? I mean, are we interviewing three pieces of software? Are we interview when we're trying to select something? It's evaluation. I mean, it's clever and it's interesting, but it's just, isn't it, just another method of screening and selecting whatever tool is most appropriate to you.
Mm-hmm. Right. So this is sort of interesting, and I don't remember how Cheap Trick was in my life. Yesterday evening, I was going through YouTube on searching some covers. I don't remember how I came to it, but I cannot remember it. So interesting,
Oh,
sort of.
there's some fantastic covers.
Yes. So moving on to the next article. This is mathematics and AI. So mathematicians put AI model alpha proof to the test. So this article is about alpha proof. If you do not know what that is, it is a mathematical model developed by Google's DeepMind, and which is designed to prove mathematical statements and theorems. So this AI, that is alpha proof, achieved a silver medal standard on problems from the International Mathematics Olympiad, a first for such a system, and the paper details, a paper detailing alpha proof was published in Nature. So this is, in my opinion, we are already sort of moving forward in terms of the capabilities. I mean, we just talked about benchmarking for different fields, and we know that mathematics is where AI is good at. But at the same time, when it starts, AI is starting to sort of prove theorems and everything. We are definitely moving forward, and I'm excited about the future where AI can be, or generative AI can be, put to scientific use.
Yeah. Now, this is one application where, I mean, when you talk to publishers and you talk about the sort of the process that they want to go through,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that publishers are generally always interested in are tools that will help screen content and screening maths or making sure that tables are valid during that peer review process, or that formula is accurate, is a pain point.
Mm-hmm.
So an AI tool that can help with this is surely going to be a great tool, a great benefit for reviewers and for publishers and for anyone that's reviewing content generally.
Right. And Tony, I think few episodes ago, we talked about the litigation that I think, if I'm not mistaken, Google is being sued by one of the senators, Republican senators, because somebody used their one of its smaller LLMs. So it is related. The next story is related to that. So this is titled "Who Pays When AI Is Wrong." It is from the New York Times, and it is behind a paywall, so you may not be able to access it. So it discusses a new court cases about AI generated content being potentially defamatory. Some companies like Wolf River Electric have sued Google for false AI generated search results. So, legal experts are intrigued by the idea of AI content being classified as defamatory, which is considered to be a novel legal concept. So, cases technically will focus on holding AI creators accountable for misinformation, but the challenge is, in such cases, defamation cases involve proving the intent of said defamation or the said content, especially with algorithms. So one case involving OpenAI's ChatGPT in Georgia was dismissed because of a third party belief in because of a lack of third party beliefs in AI's claims, and this is nobody else would believe it. And Wolf River's case may be stronger because they have documented some specific business losses related to AI generated defamatory content. Basically, if I think the main thing is that when somebody is searching for Wolf River, the AI generative AI review on Google search shows that they have something against them, something bad, which is hallucinated. So this is where things are, and this is, even though this particular story is not related to academic publishing, the same question, who pays for when AI is wrong, in AI assistance cases, is something that everybody needs to consider, especially in the context of research output creation or things like peer review assistance.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, anyone that's bringing material to market, bring content to market, has to validate their content. There has to be a process of fact checking and making sure the whatever claims are being made are correct. So it's unfortunate in the case of Wolf River
Mm.
that they've been so directly affected by this, and I can understand why they'd want to litigate. So yeah, it's really, really important.
Yes. All right, moving on to the next story. It's a Scholarly Kitchen article featuring different chefs' views on how people are using AI and what their AI hacks are.
Yeah, it's a
So,
good article.
yeah, some use AI like Copilot for Excel for formulas and Gemini for drafting documents, and they are finding Claude helpful for UX ideation but glitchy when with complex wireframes. Some, for example, Hasib Irfanullah intentionally avoids AI, seeing it only as Google search overviews. Seeing it only in Google search overviews and journal review or recommendations, which is interesting. I mean, I think if Hasib is so AI, what is it, anti-AI, but he still says that AI could solve the peer review crisis. So that's, I thought, was an interesting sort of a thought. Then
Interesting.
Lisa mentions that she uses ChatGPT as an interlocutor for diverse perspectives. That's a very good use, I think, for diversifying your own sort of
Yeah,
worldview, and for
yeah,
drafting workshop materials and for writing and polishing text. Then Stephanie, if loves to use AI for marketing tasks and survey evaluations, troubleshooting, etc. And Deandra Roberts, who I'm working with for a scholarly kitchen article, uses AI tools like Alexa, Gemini, and Copilot for as accessibility and accountability aids, especially for managing neurodivergent needs. So interesting.
Yeah.
So and finally, Tim Vines, who I absolutely love the work scholarly kitchen articles, finds AI assistants often annoying, citing examples like Acrobat's invoice summaries and intrusive suggestions in Google Docs, though he welcomes smarter autocomplete and meeting transcription. So a couple of things I want to say. Firstly, I think Claude is the best AI for pretty much any creative task, and I absolutely hate Adobe Acrobat's the generative AI assistants. And I just had a sort of internal conversation about it. People apparently like it, but I absolutely hate it. It just gets in the way. Adobe's all AI integration so far just gets in the way. Your experience, Tony?
Well, first of all, it's your opinion and not the opinion of this organisation. So let's just make that absolutely clear.
Yes.
I personally quite like it, but that's another story. No, I think it's interesting to how you've got six chefs with such sort of diverse views in terms of where they see the immediate benefit of using AI. It's fascinating that there's maybe it's done on purpose, but there's relatively little overlap in terms of what each chef found useful, and
Right.
that reflects AI, isn't it? We think about AI as a particular tool, but it's not. It's a universe of tools
Right. Right.
and a universe of applications.
Right.
So you could expand that to infinity to the number of possible use cases there might be.
Right. It just shows from the academic publishing point of view because Tony, I've increasingly sort of I have this feeling that the academic publishing industry decision makers are behind the wave, the AI wave. I mean, decision makers in terms of applying and learning about the new things.
I no, I think you're right. I think it generally in academic publishing is not always the early adopter. Rarely the early adopter.
Yes.
They'll look at technology and they'll embrace technology, but only once it's proven.
Hmm.
But that kind of is in itself, I think, is a comfort factor, and that they're not going to bring in technology or bring in content or bring in services lightly. That might undermine, what's taken hundreds of years to build in terms of reputation, quality, integrity, etc.
True.
So yes, they're not the fastest, but I think once they implement it, it's
Yeah.
there for long term.
Yeah, so my point was that Scholarly Kitchen is where I think a high quality sort of if common discourse. It's a platform where everybody talks and shares their opinion, and I'm very happy that different perspectives from different, I guess, different types of roles in terms of how they are using AI, and I want more such things. I want everybody to sort of share wherever they can, maybe on LinkedIn, as to how they are using AI, especially in the scholarly publishing industry, so that eventually the industry itself can move forward. That's
Well, maybe KK, here's an opportunity for you. You should create such a thing that you can then make available to the world community.
Yep. I mean, I'm one part. I mean, I've been advocate. I mean, I'm an AI sort of positive person in terms of academic publishing use cases, but I want more diverse perspectives, and that's what.
I thought you were going to say you're an AI.
Well, I might be, but I'm not going to reveal it here because I would obviously always
Yeah, because
deny
you
the
work
fact
programs.
that yes,
Let
right.
me just change my query.
All right, we have a couple of more articles. This is a two-part article written by Rick Anderson. And the first part reads: the global transition has already happened, and it's not the one that you expected. So we are talking about open access. So Rick argues that the scholarly publishing ecosystem has already transitioned, but not to open access as many predicted. He suggests that the transition has been to a hybrid system where various models coexist, and he challenges the assumption that arguing for access is morally unacceptable and it must be eradicated. So he basically argues for access, and he questions the inevitability of a complete shift to open access, citing recent data. An STM report, I think this is that report he's talking about, shows toll access still holds majority share in scholarly articles, reviews, and conference papers. Gold open access, often funded by article processing charges, is growing but faces controversy. And he notes that limited policy momentum towards universal OA in USA and Europe, with some retreat from the original OA goals. I think we'll cover a coalition S story which broke earlier this week in a future. And interestingly enough, Tony, he actually calls to attention the ONOS system, India's ONOS system, as
One nation, one
yeah,
subscription. Yeah,
one nation, one subscription scheme, as an example of nationalized institutionalization of hybridity, hybrid nature, rather than pure OA. And
yeah.
Anderson finally posits that while the OA movement has succeeded in growing open access, it has not achieved universal mandatory open access, and he plans to discuss whether universal mandatory open access is a desirable goal in the next part of the article, which I'll
Yeah.
transition
And
to after I take your thoughts for it.
I read that article. Rick Anderson's a very good writer.
Mm.
He's one of my favorite chefs on the Scholarly
Yes,
Kitchen. He
yes.
writes really, really good, clear, informed content. His background in librarianship and understanding managing university libraries is so important here. It gives a really, really, good perspective on what life is like on the other side of the fence. Um, and he's absolutely right. I've worked in academic publishing for a long time. My concern about the move to to complete open access is ultimately how sustainable it is.
Mm-hmm.
What we've shown over the last several hundred years is that the subscription model is sustainable to an extent, and then we have the hybrid model, which takes advantage of aspects of the subscription model but makes content more widely available, is also proven to be sustainable. The models that are not proven to be sustainable, because they are very much subject to whether those funding organizations can continue to fund in the long term or not, like green or diamond or
Mm-hmm.
platinum or whatever, is where that risk is.
Mm-hmm.
So unless there is a kind of a global shift of how money is then allocated for research and research access, I think, I don't know. I think there's the likelihood is we're going to see the hybrid model continue to grow.
Right. So that's sort of what Rick is also saying. Let's evaluate what he is saying in part 2 of the article. So this was published the next day. He believes in this piece. He states that he believes every publishing model, OA or not, has both benefits and drawbacks, and he states that no model is inherently morally superior to another, and proposes that a diverse and pluralistic scholarly communication ecosystem is more beneficial than forcing a single model, which I think everybody would agree. And this manifesto is based on 3 assumptions. The purpose of scholarship is knowledge creation and communication for the betterment of the world, which is, I guess, a little too, I don't know, socialistic, a communist sort of a viewpoint. And scholarly communication needs effective, sustainable, and ethical methods, and the ecosystem is dynamic and imperfect. So these are the assumptions that I've just summarized for you. And Anderson suggests 5 principles for a healthy ecosystem. So these are the 5 principles. So fostering diverse publishing outputs, encouraging diverse funding, distribution models, preserving author agency, prioritizing pragmatism, and rewarding honesty and penalizing dishonesty, which basically risks research integrity both ways when you look at it. He finally emphasizes that these principles do not preclude advocating for specific access models, but rather encourage respectful dialogue within a pluralistic system. So I absolutely love the second part. I think it just sums up whatever I would have wanted to sort of orient myself in late 2025 regarding where we are with open science.
Yeah, and my feeling also is that Rick's focusing on on sort of the traditional sort of journal model.
Right.
What I think we are going to see over the next really in the next 3 to 5 years is a real growth in adoption and acceptance and use of preprints.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's so much work going on in the background to sort of manage the research integrity of preprints that we're going to see them being used and adopted much more widely than they are today.
I see you've got your crystal ball back, so I'm very happy to hear that, Tony.
Thank you. I shall put it away until the next time.
No, keep it. I really like it. So, moving on to quick hits. I hope you're ready for this. So, the first one is from Financial Times. It is titled Getting the Measure of Business Research Downloads and the Rise of AI. This is about a research. This is about research downloads on the Social Science Research Network, which is SSRN, and it shows
Yes,
that
sorry.
yeah, AI is a dominant topic in business research downloads. And this year, finance and tech research, especially on AI, are highly downloaded. And one key paper studied generative AI's impact on software developers' productivity, and it found productivity increase over 26% by using AI tools like Copilot from Microsoft. And another paper that is cited is has used AI to extract personality traits from faces of MBA graduates, and this research explored links between personality and labor market success. So interesting note. I mean, would you be surprised at this? I mean, in this sense, I'm expecting obviously this is going to happen across fields, but I was intrigued by the fact that I read this on the Financial Times.
Well, I'm that second paper about the using AI to extract personality traits from faces of MBA graduates.
Yeah.
I don't. Are there sort of integrity issues here about sort of examining faces? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there isn't, but and how does a face tell you what someone's actually reveals personality traits? A fascinating concept.
I think face by itself would not. I think the expression might. There are obviously research integrity issues in this identification of face. Maybe there was blinding or something. I don't know. Whatever it might be, but it's something. Look, human beings are exceptionally good at reading faces, and if suppose you translate
Okay,
that,
yeah.
So
but I see that. I understand that. Yeah, good point.
Right. Moving on to the next one, a couple of Anthropic stories. Anthropic says Chinese hackers use its AI in an online attack. So this is a little concerning, but there's a sort of a silver lining to this. The Chinese state-sponsored hijackers have seemingly used Anthropic's AI to launch a cyber attack, and this attack was largely automated with AI doing most of the work. And limited human input. I think the numbers are like 80% of the work was done by AI and 20% were by human operators. And the hackers seemingly have targeted 30 entities, and Anthropic has not named it, but it has come out with the fact that Anthropic's AI tools or models have been used for this. Now, China has denied these accusations. And the main concern, obviously, is the fact that we've with more powerful AI, the chances of cyber attacks and everything is higher. Now, other companies have also reported such attacks in the past, but the thing that I like about Anthropic generally is that they are transparent. At least they communicate the potential threat, and Anthropic's research has been at the forefront of AI, security, AI ethics.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. We have had a momentary lapse of connection.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. We have had a momentary lapse of connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope you are back properly.
I am.
So I asked you a question. I hope you heard the Anthropic story. Did you
Yeah, I
did you
did.
have any thoughts on it? Thoughts on how cyber
Uh,
attacks?
uh, yeah, I wonder how much of this is fear mongering, or how much of this is correct. Chinese state-sponsored hacking of accounts using AI.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know enough about it to make a valid comment.
Right. And in a related news story, Anthropic CEO warns that without guardrails, AI could be on a dangerous path, which is what we just talked
Well,
about.
I think we've said this on every episode we've ever recorded. I think there has to be guardrails.
Yes, and so the CEO is worried about AI being misused and the potential for job loss. And Anthropic has done research and has research teams working on identifying and mitigating the AI risks. They have also tested the AI Claude for potential damage, in the sense, activities that could cause damage. And some people, like how Tony, you just expressed the thing that the Anthropic CEO is exaggerating the risks, and Anthropic's AI Claude, as we have mentioned in this episode itself, has been used for malicious purposes, including hacking. So two sides to the story. I personally believe that transparency and communication is vital as the world sort of learns the ropes of how AI, implementation and AI models, improving, and how it is being deployed in different workflows and everything. So from that point of view, I'm happy, but at the same time, I'm concerned. Any other thoughts?
No, it's a good article. It's a very clear article. I've plenty of respect for it. I don't know many US journalists and newscasters, but Anderson Cooper I have heard of, and I'm aware of his previous work.
Right.
He always writes a thoughtful and considered piece, so it's worth reading.
Right. Story from the USA. The US government shutdown is over. I think it was over a few days ago, a week and a little more ago. And what's next for scientists? It's a article from Nature evaluating what happens. So it lasted for a record 43 days, which is incredible. I cannot believe that the I guess in one way or the other, it's one of the larger democracies was ground to a halt because of this. And scientific agencies are now back to work. Many scientists have been furloughed or were furloughed, and they'll get back pay. Grant reviews were halted, and they will be rescheduled, and this could cause delays. And the Trump administration proposed large cuts to science budgets in for 2026 as well. And the Congress has different ideas. There is a deal to end shutdown funds. Sorry, there's a deal to end the shutdown funds for some agencies, and it's hoped that there's a good sign for scientific funding and research. So, well, a mix of good and bad. Any thoughts on the shutdown and the related research implications?
No, it's just that the whole relationship between Congress and the
Mm.
presidency and the president's office in terms of how much control the Congress really has. It makes you wonder where the power really resides. They can effectively shut the government down for over a month is quite stunning,
Mm.
staggering.
All right, so we are moving on to the second last one. It's titled "Licensing for AI: What Should Book Publishers and Authors Do?" It's an interesting article. So this explores the critical and evolving landscape of AI licensing for book publishers and authors, addressing industry fears, current market activities, and potential future strategies, while also touching upon the broader societal concerns related to AI. So some of the interesting points include the framing of the situation as stemming from AI's original sin, the unauthorized use of copyrighted books for training large language models, which we know as this was a story for I think this has been a story for the last 2 years or so, which has led to significant distrust and numerous lawsuits, but is now prompting the industry to consider licensing as a path forward, albeit one fraught with complexities and uncertainties. And the author contrasts the limited engagement of book publishers with more active licensing of news and periodicals, and questions the long-term viability and the ethical implications of current licensing models, and highlights the emerging RAG or retrieval augmented generation technology as a potentially more favorable direction for content owners. The article also delves into the broader risks associated with AI, the limitations of AI in accessing and synthesizing comprehensive information, and the crucial role of books as sources of knowledge and wisdom, ultimately calling for industry unity to navigate this transformative period. So it's a book licensing related thing, but I think the whole original story started with Meta being outed for having trained its models on book catalogs, pirated book catalogs. But anyway, so what are your thoughts? I mean, should the book publishing industry also move towards these licensing deals? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. Why? I mean, I suppose in a sense, over the 120 episodes, we haven't really spoken about books very much.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about content in the widest sense, but most of the content, has been around journal or preprint content. Not very much discussion around books, but books have absolutely the same rights to be able to charge to train. If somebody wants to train their models using book content, then they should have the right to charge for that. Absolutely.
Right. And well, we'll continue to explore this. I'm glad that at least book licensing has been introduced in PubShorts after 120 episodes. But we've already talked about AI generated music. Now we have a very, very controversial. I want to know your take on this.
Yeah.
An AI generated song just topped the Billboard chart. So this song, I think, is called "Walk My Walk." And it is by what is the name of the artist? Breaking Rust is an AI.
Breaking Rust.
Yeah. So wait, the artist is AI generated country song is "Walk My Walk." Okay, Breaking Rust is the name of the artist, and
Yeah.
it's the number one on country charts on Billboard, and it is incredible. Have you heard this song? I have heard a
I
snippet
haven't
of.
heard this song.
Yeah,
No, I'm curious to hear it.
yeah, so this is a new reality, Tony. I think this last week, I mean, I think I forget the name of the artist that we talked about, the fake Spotify artist that shot to fame, and now this
Yeah.
is it is AI songs are already in chart. So I think it's a death, the starting of the death of I guess original content publishing in music, in the sense that if AI can produce music at scale and can climb the charts, then I do not see uh, 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 produce as in, the record industry in terms of original work by humans. facing a stiff challenge, at least if not, folding under. I still feel that live music is something that humans can still do, but much better than AI for the foreseeable future. What are your thoughts?
It deeply concerns me that an AI song has reached number one in any chart. I don't know the background to this particular song, how heavily it was promoted, the fact it was generated by AI, whether there's a curiosity sort of novelty factor involved. You often get novelty number ones in the UK, for example, at Christmas that nobody buys a second single by that particular artist because the first one was the curiosity thing. I wonder whether this is going to be the same. But that said, I am concerned that. For people in the creative industries, how AI is already starting to provide a reasonably effective alternative to what they're already doing. For example, film soundtracks, incidental music, films or TV, where AI is increasingly being used.
Right.
Yeah, it's not an area I'd like to be working at the moment.
Yeah, and the previous band that we discussed was Velvet Sundown, which was, I think, episode 70 around, a long, long time ago. Anyway, that brings us to the end of episode 120. Everybody's changing. I think the world is changing. The music industry has definitely felt the change with the AI. But if people want to keep up with all the change, and if they want to listen to us talking about all the change, how can they do it, Tony?
Well, I hope you do want to listen to us. We record these podcasts for the benefit of our industry. You just need to go over to the PubShorts playlist on YouTube. Just search in Argo PubShorts, and you'll see all 119 previous episodes. And very soon, this episode will be there as well. And we encourage you to like the episodes, share the episodes with your colleagues, and also to send us some comments and suggestions for future ideas. And thank you to everyone who's actually sent us suggestions for topics as well up till now.
Right. And with that, I also thank everybody for their suggestions. Thank you, Tony. And with that, we bring this episode to its end, and we will see you in the next one. Bye, Tony. See you.
See you in the next one.